Hello, Assalamualaikum dan salam kembali dalam episod kita yang ketiga. So, hi, I am Cikgu Huda and I'll be going through a few steps. The last time we looked at the elements of art, and today we're gonna jump into a really cool topic, one of my favorite, which is about graphic design. So, which is a better design when we have so many options out there? In Malay, seni reka grafik, rekaan mana yang lebih baik? Agaknya yang mana? Alright, so let's look at what are we gonna learn in this topic, or how are we gonna approach this, right? So there will be three things. Number one is an introduction to the principles of design. And number two will be the importance of composition. And number three would be about knowing the entire process. What is it meant by doing a graphic design? Or how do we engage with graphic design? Okay, so dalam bahasa Melayu, kita akan mengenali 3 aspek untuk memahami prinsip-prinsip dalam seni reka grafik. Okay, oleh itu kita akan mula dengan pengenalan. Apa yang dikatakan dengan prinsip rekaan? Dan yang kedua adalah tentang kepentingan susun reka letak. Alright, apa tu sebenarnya bila kita dengar susun reka letak? Apa agaknya? Dan yang ketiga, selepas kita dah mengenali tentang prinsip rekaan dan susun reka letak, apa yang kita akan buat untuk menyelesaikan proses rekaan grafik itu sendiri? Okay, so tanpa melengahkan masa, jom kita masuk ke dalam bahagian yang pertama, pengenalan kepada prinsip rekaan. Alright, so prinsip rekaan ada banyak sebenarnya. Sama macam elemen-elemen seni, okay, unsur-unsur seni, kita ada beberapa prinsip-prinsip rekaan. Okay, antara yang beberapanya adalah harmoni, simetri, kepelbagaian, penegasan, kontra, irama dan pergerakan, kesatuan dan imbangan. Jangan terkejut. Dia tak berakhir dekat sini. Ada juga banyak lagi prinsip-prinsip tambahan seperti berikut. Okey, tapi jangan panik. Jangan rasa, alamak, banyaknya benda yang kita kena belajar. Dia bukan tentang kebanyakan yang kita perlu belajar, tetapi tentang kepentingan semua-semua prinsip-prinsip rekaan ini. Okay, so kalau adik-adik nak ambil screenshot sekarang supaya nak senang ingat, silakan. Inilah masa yang terbaik untuk ambil screenshot. Okay, sebab walaupun saya ada senarai prinsip rekaan tambahan tadi, tapi itu hanya untuk kita tahu. Dalam persekolahan kita, ini saja sudah cukup. Tapi sebenarnya cikgu ada tambah satu lagi. Symmetry. Symmetry ni sebenarnya tak ada dalam silibus kita. So yang ada dalam silibus hanya 7. Tapi cikgu rasa memang penting untuk belajar sebanyak mungkin. So cikgu tambahkan dia balik. Alright. So allow me to go through each one and explain to you what is it all about. Okey, dalam pengenalan prinsip yang pertama, sebelum kita cuba hadam segala-galanya, mari kita lihat dalam apa cara yang terbaik untuk kita hafal ataupun terus download ke dalam otak kita tentang prinsip rekaan ini. Okey, walaupun tak dapat banyak, cikgu suka cari perkaitan antara sesuatu dengan sesuatu yang lain. Bila kita dapat jumpa perkaitan di antara dua ni, mungkin apa yang timbul, the link between the two, itu yang dapat menguatkan daya memori kita. So, satu cara yang bagus adalah tadi kita sebenarnya ada 7 kan? So, sebab cikgu tambah 1 lagi dan semuanya dijadikan 8 prinsip rekaan yang kita kena hafal, mari kita bahagikan kepada 4 pasangan. Okay, so if we look at it as 4 pairs instead of 8 different principles, but just 4 pairs, I think that is a better way to memorize or to fully understand what is meant by these principles, right? Okay, so I hope you're with me on this. So we're going to start with the first one, which is about balance and symmetry. Okay, if we look at the 2 drawings that I've put here, we've got balance and we've got symmetry. When we think of balance, the first thing that comes in mind is probably like a scale or a seesaw or something. Okay, but balance here is definitely what is on the left and what is on the right that has to be an equal weightage. So if we have a poster or if we have a postcard or any sort of visual art piece, to have something to stand in balance would make it, better or not, that's still subjective, but for it to stand in a way that it is balanced, that is one of the principles in motion. Okay? The reason why I put these 2 together is because symmetry is also something that you might say is balanced as well, because things are equal. Alright? So with symmetry, with the concern of symmetry is that things are very much equal. So if I would fold this drawing right here, what you see is an equal part of each other, right? A butterfly, a dragonfly sits in nature as equals of a whole. So that is symmetry. But to understand symmetry, it's not about standing together like this. Ada banyak lagi jenis symmetry di mana disengajakan bahawa sebelah ni lain dengan sebelah ni. Yang tu dipanggil asymmetry. So, I think by diving into this alone, there's a lot to learn. But for today, let's just check in our take a mental note that symmetry is one of the principles of design. As for balance, ataupun dalam bahasa Melayu, imbangan, it is just the constant understanding to keep things in balance. They might not be fully equal. Okay, tak ada garisan pun dekat sini. Dia mungkin bengkang-bengkok dekat sini. Tak ada garisan simetri. Tetapi lukisan di sini sangat seimbang. Kalau disengajakan dekat tepi ni ada sesuatu yang kecil dan di tepi sana ada sesuatu benda yang besar, maksudnya disengajakan bahawa gambar tersebut tiada imbangan atau imbangan dia tidak seimbang. Alright? So that's to remember that these 2 sits together. Okay, and what's next? The next one is contra, atau dalam bahasa Inggeris, contrast. Okay, when we think about contrast, it is about opposing elements or opposing factors. When we have contrast, it means that things are not the same. And not just that they are not the same, they are very different. So, hampir macam kata lawan lah. Kita ada besar dan kecil, tajam dan tumpul, bulat dan persegi. Okay? Dan so kontra dekat sini adalah elemen yang berlawanan. Okay? That means like if we look at tones, colors, okay? We have black or white. But black and white is an obvious opposite. What about colors like blue? What is the opposite of blue? Or even colors like red. What is the opposite of red? That would be in another segment where we learn about the color wheel. Alright? And besides contrast, cikgu tahu yang ni lah yang kebanyakan orang mungkin confused. Okay? Apa perbezaan kontra dengan penegasan? In English, we have the word emphasis. Emphasis is more of what can we do to bring the attention of our eye onto something specific. Alright? So even here is also a quote like to show that, when you want to emphasize something, you would go out of your way to emphasize it. I have made all dots that are black here, with one dot being a big green color, just to bring in emphasis. Okay, dalam lukisan ni, cikgu sengaja letak guiding lines. Our eyes would look at this, it will go here, and finally we'll look at this point right here. Garisan-garisan sekeliling telah menimbulkan satu keadaan yang membawa penegasan kepada objek di sini. Okay, so just keep in mind that kontra ataupun penegasan ni semua bukan hanya wujud dalam warna atau bentuk, tapi semuanya. Maksudnya ada warna yang boleh bersifat kontra, ada warna boleh boleh ditegaskan lebih, dan juga ada size ataupun bentuk bahan-bahan yang boleh diubah untuk menaikkan prinsip-prinsip ini. Sebab itu kontra dengan penegasan bersama-sama dekat sini. Okay, so that's another 2 down. The next one would be about... Okay, let's look at one by one. Kesatuan, ataupun dalam bahasa Inggeris, unity. When we talk about kesatuan, maksudnya dalam pelbagai benda dalam lukisan ini, tetap ada sesuatu yang sama. Elemen kesamaan. Okay, sebab itu kita bersatu. Bersatu kita teguh, bercerai kita roboh. Betul? Alright, so with unity is where the elements can all be different, but something ties it all together. In this picture, you can see that they're all pencils and they all draw squiggly lines. Alright, so sama dekat sini juga. Sama macam kita rakyat Malaysia, sebab ni bulan kemerdekaan kan? Okay, rakyat Malaysia pelbagai. Tetapi kita sehaluan. Dan itulah yang disebut sebagai unity. So, unity mungkin ada perkaitannya dengan kepelbagaian. Tapi, dalam seni visual, kesatuan dan kepelbagaian adalah sesuatu yang sangat susah untuk kita dapatkan mereka bersama dalam sesuatu gambar. Susah kita nak buat, tapi tak mustahil. Contohnya di sini, kita ada pelbagai jenis buah-buahan. Tapi kalau kita lihat dia, bentuk dia mungkin pelbagai kan? Tapi kalau kita letakkan dia sekali, walaupun pelbagai saiz dan pelbagai bentuk buah-buah ni, semuanya berkhasiat. Semuanya buah-buahan. Adik-adik nampak tak benda tu? Kalau sebelum ni belum nampak, pastikan sekarang kita nampak lah ya. Alright, with variety in our drawings, we know that we can bring in a lot of different elements and things are beautiful in their differences. But if there is a reason why we want to introduce variety into our graphic design, that's why it's important to have all these principles working together in a design. Okay, so I hope you got that down. Unity and variety works hand in hand, whether in opposites or not. Okay, now that we have 3 down, remember the principles of design are 4 pairs. What are we missing right now? Dun dun dun. This one I would imagine like, irama dan pergerakan. In English it's rhythm and movement. You cannot try to remember this without thinking of a music or a symphony in your head, right? So when I look at images or pictures that has rhythm and movement, one way is to know whether your heart starts leaping into a different song, right? So if I look at a drawing and I feel like wow, this is almost like it's going up, and it's reminding me of like, dun 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 dun, right? I'm sorry, that's just how I look at things. So if there is a rhythm to it, you know that there are small fish and there are big fishes and they're all swimming out to sea. So that itself is telling you something. Even though it's a static drawing right here, you might imagine the movement of fishes going up and down, right? So that is what it's meant by rhythm and movement. Di mana ada irama, di situ ada pergerakan. Alright, and this goes hand in hand with harmony. So I think most schools, if they would follow the textbook and try to go through it in chronological order, you would learn harmony first. But by the time you're already disillusioned, you don't know what's going on, irama dan pergerakan is always the last thing we learn. Well, I wouldn't blame how things are done, because irama dan pergerakan agak susah kita nak tangkap. Because things that are static, like a picture is static, or a sculpture is static, there can be movement. And you can have a debate all about it. But bear in mind that, yep, if you get this, kids, you're special, right? If you can get this concept and if you can understand, then yes, you know that your capacity of understanding is more than others, and appreciate that. When it comes to harmony, okay, people also know that, when people are singing and you have a group harmonizing with each other. So I don't have a partner with me to sing with me, but if one harmonizes with you, how would that sound like? Right? How would someone's oohs fit with other people's ahs? Right? How would that go? So because harmony is very much about how things sit in a peaceful manner. Alright, so with harmony, there's always going to be a symphony that's very chill and calm and soothing. So that is harmony. And usually we would see harmony in nature. Nature in all its wonder. Subhanallah, I think how the mountain sits on the lake and how the river sits next to the sea. Like how things are perfectly in order and they harmonize with one another, even in a visual sense. Okay, there are also ways that can bring in harmony by using, let's say, organic shapes, by bringing flowy objects, or making things, repeat in a certain manner. These are all ways to bring about harmony in our design. Okay, that's why I put harmony and rhythm and movement together. I feel like both of them have an element of moving with each other. So even though harmony is something that is calming and soothing and always makes you feel zen, irama dan pergerakan mungkin boleh bercanggah atau membuat kita rasa seperti lagu rock atau punk rock atau metal. Okay, sebab irama dan pergerakan dia tidak terhad kepada sesuatu yang menenangkan. Macam harmoni, dia mesti buat kita rasa tenang. Okay, kalau warna berubah warna, dia mesti mengikut pelangi, warna-warna pelangi atau tona-tona daripada gelap ke cerah, cerah ke gelap. Dan itu harmoni. Kita tak rasa terkejut. Tapi irama dan pergerakan ni mungkin boleh buat kita rasa terkejut. Macam kalau ada music yang macam penuh dengan, kan? Kita mungkin akan rasa agak terkejut atau kita akan rasa ada suatu irama yang kita kena ikut yang tak semestinya bersifat harmoni. Okay, so that's why I put these two together. So if we can arrange it, okay, kalau katakan kita melihat kepada dia punya icon sahaja. Adik-adik boleh ingat tak? Okay, if we would arrange it only in the icons this way, yeah. I think that looks pretty cool. Let me cover this with my hands. Would you remember all that I've mentioned right here? Well, I hope you can. Whether you can or not, that is your initiative. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot and quiz yourself right now, this will be the right time to do it. Okay? Okay, now we move on to the second part of our learning session today, which is number 2, the importance of composition. What is composition? If we'll just think about it. What is composition actually? When we have a bunch of objects together, how and why do we need to compose them? Okay? Because I would say the way you put them, like right now, if I have all these campak dekat sini, what we see could affect, my mom can come over and go like, siapa letak pensel-pensel dekat sini? Okay? Or somebody else can go like, oh my god, why is it so unorganized? I'm gonna organize it back and because I'm OCD like that. I mean, it's possible. Okay? What else? If somebody comes in and say, I want to arrange it in a way that they're gonna be in pairs and they're gonna be dancing with each other. Oh, but this guy has no partner. That's too bad. So sad. Okay, and that in itself can tell the story. So the importance of composition is in this. what story do you want to tell? What story do you want to shape with the objects that you have? So if they're not necessarily objects, but design, graphic output, right? What message are you trying to tell? So if you have something like this, well, what would it mean? If you move them out and you go like, almost like, what would it mean? Okay, so my advice to you to understand what you've just learned is to try and arrange as many compositions as you can in a given space. Okay? An easy way to look at compositions is actually looking at books. Kalau kita nak tahu susun reka letak yang menarik, kita boleh lihat kepada buku-buku. Okay, so dekat sini cikgu ada banyak buku. Alright, I'm going to bring in a few books just so we can look at it. Alright, so one at a time. Okay, read this if you want to take great photographs. Really? And that's all. In this entire book, it's just that. It's using emphasis. It's using contrast in the colors. And by just putting it on top, there is an imbalance where your eyes would just look at here. Okay? And yep, that is essentially how this book is designed. And if we look on the inside, every page is a composition. Every page is arranged in a very nice way that things are almost, you know what's coming up next. You know that one page will be a picture and the other page will be writing. And as you read, you can feel, quite calm and predictable, and you would learn a lot of things about photography. Okay? How about books like this? Think like an engineer. And you have an illustration right here in the center. Okay? The illustration sort of stands out because it's the only one that's colored. And so what is this? This is emphasis. Alright? The difference in colors and the contrast that's chosen is amazing, because you look at this first and you go like, why are these things moving into his head? Okay, there's an element of movement here, but why? What's going on? Then you read the title and you go like, think like an engineer. No wonder this picture. And the way that the font that's chosen at the top, at the center, at the side, and it's all aligned, at the side, says something as well. Okay, there is sort of like a visual balance here. There's words up here, there's an image down here, and this is like almost like if you're looking further, you can read what's it about. It's smart, it's insightful, it's fascinating. Okay, so this has been really well thought out. And I think lots of books are like this. A lot of book designers would have to be masters in composition to understand how to arrange a nice book. Okay, so kalau dekat sini, susun reka letak dia, simple. Kita nampak ada tulisan dekat atas, ada gambar dekat sini. Dan gambar dekat sini lebih daripada separuh, okay, hampir separuh, tapi lebih daripada separuh. Maksudnya ada elemen keseimbangan yang diancam. Okay, keseimbangan yang ditarik sedikit supaya mata kita akan melihat kepada gambar ni dulu. Dan gambar ni adalah askar-askar terakota yang dibuat daripada tanah. Dan wow, ya, semestinya kita tahu, kalau kita tahu, ini adalah bukan di negara Malaysia tetapi di negara China. Dan baru kita baca dekat atas, kita akan nampak tulisan yang warna putih dahulu berbanding dengan warna kuning. Sebab warna putih tu, dia lebih kontra dari segi penggunaan warna. So maksudnya mata kita akan nampak ini dulu. Kita baca, World History, sejarah dunia. Sejarah dunia siapa? Barulah kita baca, oh, kanak-kanak. Children's World History Encyclopedia. So maksudnya encyclopedia ni comel kan? Kecil. Khas untuk kanak-kanak. And what is it for? To discover the secrets of the world's past. Okay? Dan kalau kita buka dekat dalam buku ni pun comel. Dia ada gambar-gambar yang seolah-olah kita nampak dalam buku besar, tapi rupanya buku ni kecil. Okay? Dan setiap page ni disulami dengan lukisan, disulami dengan tulisan, dan di bawah ni sentiasa ada dia punya timeline, dia punya susu masa. Kita takkan lari bila baca buku ni, kita tahu susu masa dia bila. Alright, so sebenarnya adik-adik kita boleh belajar banyak daripada buku sekalipun. Dari segi susun reka letak, dari segi graphic design. Okay, dengan dengan keyakinan illustrator ataupun reka grafik, kita dapat belajar daripada mereka. Okay, pastikan adik-adik ambil lah buku-buku yang bagus. So which brings me to another question. Macam mana kita nak tahu buku ni bagus ke tak? How do we know that the graphic design is good or not? Okay, so the first step of moving on to number 3 is to know the process. How do we know what's going in the mind of a graphic designer? Well, to let you know, there is no shortcut to this. There really is no shortcut, and sometimes the process can be quite overwhelming to learn. Tapi cikgu percaya, sikit-sikit, lama-lama, pandailah kita. Okay, you would have to know that it starts from sketching. Alright, if I would look here, if I would try to deconstruct by this book that we have here called The Restless Earth, and let's deconstruct. From this book, tentunya sketch ataupun lakaran daripada pereka tentunya macam ni. Dia mesti nak tajuk dia dekat sini dan dia nak ada gambaran yang menunjukkan sesuatu tentang sains. Okay, dia telah memilih gambar volcano. Okay, gambar volcano dekat sini. Dan mungkin dia ada satu gambar volcano. Dan dia ada satu tajuk. Dan dia nak masukkan dia punya blurb dekat sini. A Beginner's Guide to Plate Tectonics. The name of the author and the editor. Mungkin inilah dia punya lakaran awal. Tetapi dia rasa, agak boring lah. Macam mana kita nak buat dia lebih bagus? Dan dia akan start, ada lakaran nombor 1, nombor 2, nombor 3, nombor 4 dan sebagainya. Dan dalam setiap lakaran ni, mesti ada sesuatu benda yang berbeza. Cikgu tak tahu macam mana dan kenapa dia memilih prinsip rekaan ulangan dekat sini. Nampak dia berulang. Okay? Satu gambar ni bukan jadi satu, tetapi dah diulang menjadi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dan disusun dengan cara macam tu. Di mana ada satu bentuk T dekat sini. Okay, ada satu bentuk T dekat sini. Mungkin disengajakan atau mungkin tidak. Okay, we did read about plate tectonics. Okay, kalau ada yang tak pasti, plate tectonics ni tentang pergerakan bentuk muka bumi. So mungkin dengan satu adik-adik pernah main game Tetris tak? Game Tetris ada pergerakan kan dekat sini. Macam ada satu objek yang boleh muat dekat sini. Ada satu objek yang mungkin tak muat. Ada satu objek yang mungkin besar. Kita tak nak buat kat mana. Okay? So, when I look at this, it's reminding me of the game of Tetris. And it's making me think about plate tectonics. It's making me think about how much the earth is moving. Alright, and I think this is really smart. Not only did they get some inspiration from like Andy Warhol's pop culture of making the lava into different colours. Okay, mungkin ada dekat sini elemen-elemen dia nak nampakkan gambar yang menarik. Sebab tu volcano ni diwarna dalam pelbagai warna. Dan sebenarnya di sinilah kontra yang timbul juga. Warna biru, lawan dia adalah warna kuning. Warna merah atau pink, lawannya adalah warna hijau. Dan lawan warna hijau warna merah. Kan? Dan sebagainya. Maksudnya, bila dia letak dua gambar ni sekaligus, dia sengaja nak dia berlawanan dekat sini. Okay, so it's not too much. Warna dia tak terlalu banyak sampai mata kita tak boleh tahan. Mata kita nampak dan kita boleh hadam. Ini adalah tentang Restless Earth. So, kenapa dia pilih font yang semua kecil? Kan sepatutnya kita mulakan ayat dengan huruf besar. Tapi dekat sini dia huruf kecil. Sebab apa? Mesti ada sebabnya. Okay? The thing about graphic design is that everything has a reason. And sometimes, graphic designers cannot explain it to you because it's in their mind. But take note that everything has a reason. Whether it is said out loud or not, that is really up to the graphic designer. And if you are the graphic designer, it's really up to you if you want to explain to people about your design. Okay, so if we take a look inside this book, tengok tepi dia pun ada warna yang sama dengan atas gambar ni. Tepi dia pun maksudnya pereka grafik ni, dia fikir tentang semua objek-objek ni. Dan bila kita tengok kat dalam, the way it's arranged, it's similar to the encyclopedia. Yang ini mungkin cara lama buku-buku disusun. Tapi bagi saya, cikgu ni mungkin old school lah. Cikgu suka buku-buku macam ni. Yang dia sulamkan gambaran dengan tulisan. Alright, so your assignment from this video would be to go around and try and understand the graphic design process. The only way to understand is not just in observation. Okay, harap-harap cikgu-cikgu pun sedang meneliti dekat sini. These are for the teachers. To understand the process of the graphic design process is for us to actually experience it. Maksudnya, the faster your students would learn how to do their own graphic design, the faster it is for them to master what they need to master, right? And the faster it is that you make all the errors, all the kesalahan dalam graphic design, the faster you will know what is about the composition, apa tu susun reka letak. Dan itu akan membawa kita kepada pemahaman yang mendalam tentang prinsip-prinsip rekaan. So yes, kita ada banyak tadi. Kita ada 8 kan? Harap-harap adik-adik semua ingat. Apa dia? I hope you can say it out loud. If not, you better look back of this video and see what we've done. Alright, so after that, maybe you can challenge your students to find out about the different additional principles of design. So I hope all this has been helpful so far. I know it's a lot of words for today, but the principle of design is very hard to show in a physical way. I think if there is a commentary of different kind of designs, that's the best way to learn. Okay, but this is what I can do to fit it in this 20-minute limit, and I hope to see you in another session. The other session would also be about graphic design and how we can understand it even more. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in today's class, and until the next time, keep learning. Bye-bye. Thank you for all those that has been helpful in the production of this video. Until the next episode, stay creative and keep making art.